Welcome everybody to a special RugbyBits episode, and we're not alone. I'm joined now by Sharky once again. Jared and Tyler have abandoned us on our own devices, so we decided that we're actually going to get a guest this time. Sharky, I feel like people are tired of hearing just our thoughts. I thought maybe let's up the ante. I mean, I think getting Harlequins captain Stephan Lewies, Sharky, I think it's a great superstar. We're showing the Hawks the depth we have at RugbyBits.
Absolutely. You know, I'm big on balancing things out and then a little bit of succession planning. So we're kind of going big early, you know. But I mean, can we just have a chat about like Jared and Tyler? They're hardly even on the WhatsApp group anymore. They don't talk to us. They're never on the show.
They've abandoned us. That's why now we've got to get great guests in, because they've just abandoned us. And but I'm hoping that they'll know they've been replaced now. But like, we're just gonna keep getting guests in, keep getting boxing, keep getting Premiership winners in here, just show the caliber of guests that we can get when they're not here. But not to waste, I mean, just no further ado, we got Stephan Lewies, Harlequins captain, got 1 cap for the Springboks and 80 caps for the Sharks. But that's the nice intro. I wanna tell you the intro of how I met Stephan Lewies. I was in London last year. Got invited to a charity event at it's the Wolfpack, the one that Alistair Hargreaves owns.
That's the one.
Yeah, the Wolfpack. So I'm like, okay, cool. Wandering around the Boxer, playing the All Blacks the next day. Get to this charity event, see this big man, in front of me. I was like, okay, cool. It can't be anyone else. I'm like, who's look? Okay, it can't be sort of Earburn, sort of anyone else. But I mean, when I see someone taller than me, I assume it's a Springbok. Like that's my first guess. And then I saw Steph there. We chatted, had a few beers, and then he says to me like, "Oh, are you going to the test tomorrow?" So I'm like, "No, I'm going to go watch Chelsea play football." And I genuinely think I lost a little bit of respect, but I mean, he saw me put away a brandy or two, and I think I gained it back. Steph, thanks so much for joining us.
A lot of respect by having a few brandies there. I think it was what a night that was, and then what a weekend it turned into. So it was a great first encounter, and I'm looking forward to having you back this side of the world.
No, I got to go back. But Sharky, the best thing about that night is obviously I think pubs in UK close at about 11. So everyone is being ushered out. So Steph grabs me and says, "Don't leave." Even Simon Harmon, the product, like, "Don't leave. Just wait here in the corner. Whatever you do, like, don't leave." I'm like, but everyone is leaving. He's like, no. Now the real party starts afterwards. Eventually, I think we escaped that pub at about 1 or 2 in the morning. It's the only Uber that I caught in London, because I tubed everywhere. I had to wake up in the morning with a nice little 800 Rand notification from my bank account for an Uber. So I'm coming back here.
Yeah.
You owe me 800
Rand
of beers when I come back to London.
Look, we went home early. I think the rest of them kept on going till like 5. I think John Smith and them, they had a big one. They had a big week, to be fair. I think we had it easy compared to those guys.
No,
Yeah, and you know, Stephan, we gave him as much shit here for his decision. I remember on the group he was chatting, like, listen, you know, the All Black test is on. I'm going to be at the same time, but I really want to watch the football. And I'm glad that when we came on air, you said when Cook said he was going over again, you're like, "Oh, what are you coming for, the rugby or the football?" So I'm glad we've got to keep it going from both ends and just make sure that he actually understands the laws of the planet.
But Steph, the worst part,
in a way, there's some respect for sticking with your team. The time that you went to watch a Chelsea game, there was not a lot of hope around that time. And before World Cup, Springboks versus New Zealand on Twickenham, it was a ballsy call from you. I'll give that to you.
No, but the worst part is, so I'm at the football. I mean, as I was happening at the same time. So I watched the football. Actually went back to the Wolfpack, which was actually an official Chelsea bar. And so I went to the pub there. So I went, had some beers, went back there after the game. So then I went to bed late, obviously. I had quite a bit of drink. So then when I woke up the next day, I didn't know what the box score was. So I was like, okay, cool, lekker. So I wake up in the morning, check the highlights. I'm like, oh, great. So I must have a record win against the All Blacks, all because of my stupid football team.
See, they have a problem. Surely, I thought you're going to watch the football, rugby on a different screen, surely, and you'll be like this, left, right, watching the rugby, watching the football, but you went all in on the football.
No, unfortunately. I mean, it's poor form, especially going to a World Cup here.
Oh, but listen, I think I can't say it too loudly. Well, my wife's in the house, so I kind of have to say my wedding night was the best night of my life, but I think second to that was up there. That night, what a day that was, and the after party. Tell you a little story. So The Cabbage Patch is like the pub close to Twickenham Stadium, where all the supporters normally close to the station. So you get off the train, normally have a few drinks at Cabbage Patch, and they do the pre-match stuff there, and then you walk over to Twickenham. So afterwards, I know the owner and the manager there through Harlequins, so we booked like a private area. Then I said probably 6 or 7 of my mates, some coming from all over Germany, others from Amsterdam, and said, listen, tell your friends to come over after the game. We'll have the after party there. So this room or this bar, this area takes around 110 people. So the owner is like, how many guys you reckon? I'm like, I think it will be 60, 70 max. Don't stress about it. It'll be easy. So to everyone, they're like, listen, when we get there, what do we do? I'm like, just say you're Stephan Lewies, they'll let you in, don't worry. So I get there probably 2 hours after the game. This place is packed, and everyone is just telling their mates, telling their mates, telling their mates. So eventually the bouncers, they come around, they call me, and I'm like, listen, there's a slight problem. There's quite a few people that knows your name at this stage of the evening. So I'm like, listen, 1 in or 1 out, 1 in. So that's all I could think of. So this place was at capacity, 120 people probably in there, playing Afrikaans music from Soki Treffers to Mendoza. All the rest is pumping in there. Next minute, the bouncer comes, he taps me on the shoulder. He's like, listen, there's someone that says I need to call you. I'm like, you've been telling me that the whole night. There's people calling me now. He's like, I think you should come for this one. So I walk out, there's Justin Marshall, George Gregan, all that. I'm like, hey, can we please come in? Yeah. I'm like, lads, I think we can make a plan for you. Come in.
Wow,
now it's all my mates. Yes, so now it's all my mates from back home. Obviously, I was starstruck with these guys in the bar. You know, I can imagine them. Like, they thought a casual evening, few drinks at the pub. In walks George Gregan, Justin Marshall. There was a few, well, John Smith was obviously in there and a few others. And the one South African is dating an Australian chick at the time. She had a Springbok jersey on. As George Gregan walks in, she's like, can't be wearing this jersey inside here. So puts back a Australian jersey. But yeah, lots of memories from that night.
Oh, no. So now I feel even worse now for missing it. Because I could have been there with George Smith, Justin Marshall. Stuff Chelsea, actually. This is the last time I watched them play football. But Stephan, I mean, talking about that, I mean, how's life been in London, you know, playing for the Quins? I mean, you got there with 29, 20, and now, I mean, it's become your second home, and you're captaining the side now. But how are you finding life up there?
Yeah, it's good. It took, like, I've always wanted, while I was playing at the Sharks, thinking eventually somewhere in my career I want to go play abroad. I had a short stint in Japan, but I always thought, like, I want to come play in the Premiership in England. So when Harlequins approached me, it was a no-brainer, really. So in the beginning, moving to a new city, a new country is exciting. But then that also wears off when you start missing home in South Africa. But Harlequins as a club, I think it's the way they look after their players is second to none. I think we have like a welfare manager that's employed solely to look after the players and their needs off the pitch. They look after the families, making sure the wives are sorted out, the kids. So they really go above and beyond to make sure, especially the foreigners, have a lot of help. But then, yeah, as from the rugby point of view, it's a club that loves playing, spreading the ball around, the brand of rugby we play. So it's been awesome, mate. It's easy to travel from here. Living in London, there's so many perks. But even with that, still, you miss South Africa so much. The food, the people. But the club as a whole it's been incredible.
Stephan, we chatted a bit about it. It was such a roller coaster for you. Obviously, you pulled in you had a half a season and then you pulled in and named captain, change of coach, COVID hit. I mean, that's all enough to basically sink many teams. And then you guys have sort of come out the ashes like a phoenix. So what was it like, obviously being there short and obviously the language barriers and managing that situation and then captaining the side? How was that and how did that sort of figure itself out?
So I'll take it a few steps back. When I first got approached or asked if I wanted to or if I'll be club captain, I was conscious of the fact that I've only been at the club for a year. So I've been at different or other clubs where someone new's come in, they've made them captain, and they didn't really, there was no real buy-in from the team. The team's like this outsider comes in being captain. He doesn't know the club that well. So I felt that way in the past. So I was like, I don't want to be that guy. So initially I said, I'm not going to accept it straight away. I want to speak to the senior players. So I spoke to Marler, Mike Brown, Danny Kerr at the time, maybe one or two others. And I'm like, listen, guys, the only way I could do this is with your help. You guys in my corner. If you're against it, then I'm not taking this job. Luckily, they all said they'll support me wherever they can. They're excited for me. They think I'm the right person for the job. So I took it. And then, like you just said, so the coach got sacked halfway through the season. And then I don't think a leadership position is, yes, someone has the title, but it's never just one person. It's always a group of people leading. So then the group of us, I think it almost gave us a little bit more accountability and power in that. And we basically had two choices. It sounds cliche and stupid, but either, like you just say, you fold, or you have a choice to make in that instance, whether you're gonna throw everything at it, go for it, or you crumble, and at the end of the season you have loads of excuses. The coach went COVID, all that. But I think COVID as a whole actually helped us in that. We grew a lot closer as a group, spent a lot more time together because you couldn't really socialize at home. So people spent so much more time at the club actually just having casual conversations. So we grew closer as friends, basically as brothers. And I think that definitely helped us on pitch as well. And then it was a mad run of games. I think we were like 8th in January, Feb even, and then just started playing some good rugby, attacking rugby, and the comebacks. Still some of the best games in my career was played in that season. I'm sure we'll come on to it, but then, yeah, the semi and the final was ridiculous.
Yeah.
Steph, I mean, when you're captaining, I mean, it's obviously like you play the Sharks, right? You're coming, it's only 99% South Africans, the odd international will pop in there. But it's like you said, it's not, it's mostly South Africans you're dealing with, you kind of know each other, how South Africans are, the vibe of them. But now you go across to like Harlequins, you're captaining a side, like you mentioned, there's the likes of Danny Kerr, there's Joe Marler, guys who, I mean, the English are completely different, and there's other international players you're dealing with. Obviously, a few South Africans come and go. How was that for you, managing all those different nationalities, and just obviously also you still trying to adapt to life in London as well? How was that for you?
Yeah, look, I was learning on the job, basically. I was in the finished article as a leader, as a captain, first season. There's massive characters in the Joe Marler and the Danny Kerr, so I had to learn quite quickly, if I have to say it like that. I think the nationalities that didn't bother me that much. That was quite easy. I actually enjoy that, tapping into the different cultures of people. And instead of acting like I knew how to do it, I just asked. I was quite open that I was a new captain. I didn't know everything, and I'm quite open. Set standards out early doors in terms of what will be acceptable, what won't be acceptable. But outside of that, I think it's important that everyone could be themselves. So I think by asking those guys to lead different, give them responsibility, it was easy to get them on board. If you someone that tells Joe Marler what to do every day of the week, you're going to struggle. But actually, he's such a good leader. And if you get him talking, I've never seen something like that. Everyone just hangs on his lips, the way he delivers. He's such a good public speaker. But if you give him responsibility, and in that season, he took quite a lot of responsibility. So I think my way of dealing with, long way answer, but is giving those characters, some of those being captains before, responsibility in different areas and get them to run with it. So not just trying to do everything myself, because I know that's a recipe for disaster. And I think that's worked for us.
So a little bit on the lighter side of things, you talk about some of the comebacks. It's obviously, and Nick Evans has been in the coaching setup there for a while, but Jerry Flannery, so a lot of South Africans, obviously he's in the Springbok setup at the moment, but the defensive, the points you were conceding was quite incredible. The fact that you were making comebacks and winning was amazing. Jerry Flannery, can you tell us a little bit about him and how he was reacting in that space? Because it must have been quite funny, but also quite challenging.
Yeah, I think it's the hardest job in the world, being Harlequins defense coach. I think we have this mentality. If you score 40, we'll score 42, and that's all right. We don't care about the rest as much. That's generally for a long time was the mentality. He tried really hard to change that, and I think his defensive model is based on Jock's model in a sense, and with Andre coming over, that kind of helped that. But the club is so attack driven that you need to spend time on a system like that and get individuals to get on board. So it was hard for him, and he kind of had to coach within the identity of Harlequins. We didn't want to change the identity of Harlequins of throwing the ball around and scoring 6 tries. So it wasn't a club like a Leicester or Cell Sharks. It was based on defense, where it's easy for the defense coach. I think the way we attack make it hard for our defense sometimes as well. So it was tough for him. But like you say, our mindset is if you score 6 tries, we'll score 7. And that's kind of worked for us. I think a lot of people said you'll never win a trophy like that, and then we did it that season, and then they're like, oh shit, what now? But I think the players, we also recognize we had to go away from that slightly. We can't just keep doing that. It was never going to be sustainable.
You know what I find interesting, Steph, about that season is, I mean, remember you're like, especially epic comeback in the semi-final, and you know, you always say like defense with championships and things like that in the final as well. I mean, I've always laughed with Harlequins. Like I've watched plenty of your guys' game, and you'll be down by 20, and you're thinking, oh geez, now he wasn't start playing rugby. Like, where did that belief come from? Like you said, it is attacking nature, and like you said, you're 8th in about Feb, and you find yourselves like in these holes, in these depths of trying to find ways to come back. Where does that belief come from? And like where does that mantra? You score 40, we'll score 42. It doesn't matter how many points down by, but we're gonna find a way.
So we have all these attacking players in our team, and I think they just love it. Like the thing that excites them is attack. So it wasn't like if we 20 points down or even more. I think we were 28 points down in that Bristol game. And then, but to go where the belief comes from, I think we had like 4 or 5 comebacks that season where we had to score 14 tries to get back in 10 minutes. And then slowly you do it once, then it's like, okay, it can be done. So next game we're in that position, it's like, boys, we've been here before, we can do it. Then you do it again. It's like, it's just like a snowball effect, basically. And then you get to a semi-final and you're 28 points down at half-time. Or we scored just before, 28-0 down, I think 35 minutes score as we go into the sheds. And you're like, boys, well, we haven't been this far down, let's be honest. I think we had a chat at around 30 minutes. We pull in, they score their 4th try, and the chat start going, boys, play for the pride of the jersey. I'm like, boys, it's a bit early for those chats. Still a long way to go. We can't get there. But then we score just before halftime, and you kind of see the boys, like you say, you talk about that belief, like we've been here before. It's now 21 points. If we score straight after halftime, then it's 14 points, and we know we can do that. So it's kind of just the fact that you've done it before that creates the belief almost. But initially, it's almost that believing without seeing. That's the hardest thing. But then I think just the nature of the players we have, Daneke, Marcus Smith, Tyron Green, Alex Donbrand, they live for scoring tries. All of them, line-down ledge. So all those players can at any moment do something and score a try out of nothing. And I think that's kind of how it started. Just those players, backs against the wall, fire. The coaches left. We have nothing to lose. Probably not going to be dropped, so I can try stuff. And then luckily it came off.
But as a forward, but I mean, sorry, Jacques, but I mean, as a forward, I mean, it's great having all those backs. I mean, you know, you come from South Africa where we hit mauls, ruck, scrum. Now you go to England, it's like, boys, we should not throw the ball around. So what's Nick Evans saying to you? Boys, just give us a platform and let us cook.
Play sevens. The funny thing is everyone sees that exactly like you say, but we had Volko Low that season he was a joke. He tackled Radradra. He was injured in the backfield, got up. Radradra made a line break, one-on-one with Volko. Volko gets up, nails him. One-on-one with one of the best attacking outside centers. The other time he makes a line break, Volko's cross cover, he dives, he catch him on his jersey, and you're not going to pull 150 kgs, so you go in down. But I think, like you said, the platform was there. Like that season, we had the best scrum in the league, and we, I think, first or second best line out in the league. So the platform, like you said, we had to give them the platform to play off. But I didn't start there. I think when we started scoring that tries, the forwards also saw like, if we give these backs this platform, then it will be hard to beat us. But
And have you
as a forward coming from South Africa, it's kind of different. The change room chats is slightly different. I'll tell you that much.
have you had a chat with them about bringing more into the game? I mean, you scored 3 tries in that Premiership winning season. Other than that, it's just been trickling along. Have you had some words and just said that you're the catalyst to this whole game?
I should have a bit more chats around that. I'll probably have chats with me because they put me on the edge. Back then, that's a few years ago, I had some pace on the edge. I'm getting slower. So probably time to move into the middle slightly.
Oh, man. But I mean, like, Stephan, I mean, the Quins, I mean, like you said, it's a reputation of throwing the ball around. And I mean, you see the stoop is pumping now and the fans love it. But I mean, do you think you guys also like, is there pressure to play like that? Do you guys feel that pressure, or is it almost a bit of a carefree nature of there's a freeing experience of being, we expected to jaw? The fans want us to ever go like, shit, if we start now trying to be tight, like is that restricting or like almost freeing as a player, especially say forwards as well?
I think it's freeing as a player, but I think of late there's probably a bit more of this expectation. We don't want to see a Quins that win games 9-3. We want to rather see a 40-40 game. And that's why I think for the last 3 seasons now, the Stoop's been sold out. We have, I say time and time again in interviews, but I think we have the best fans in the world. The traveling fans this season has been amazing. I think second to none. Toulouse, they were buying flares with Harlequins flares going off everywhere. But I think one, it's the identity of the team. They actually did like a piece at Harlequins where they looked at the history where this guy, why Harlequins play the way they play. And they went all the way back to where it started in the early 1900s, where a guy came in, the Adrian Stoop, actually, what's its name, the stadium's named after. And he brought this style in. So it's not like a coach came here 3 years ago and said, or 5 years ago, we're going to play this style. This style of play with Harlequins has been coming for hundreds of years or 100 years plus. So I think it's kind of, you have to stick with the identity for the club and find a way. Obviously, the club signs players that suits this style of play. And then on top of that, that's what this club is about. That's what the fans love. This is why players sign to this club. So it's very hard almost going away from that. I don't know if that really answers your question. Does it put pressure? I don't think so. I think actually it takes a bit of pressure off having boys being able to express themselves.
I think I understand. I think the players, like you said, you look at someone like Andre Esterhuizen, for example, is probably when he was, a lot of fans sort of put him in a box, like, okay, he's just a basher. And now you look at him, at certain times, he's even filled in at 10. And you look at him, he's become a completely different player. But I'm not just about some of the players. I mean, like Danny Kerr and Joe Marler, I'm sure when Yorks won the championship, they were leading the charge for the after-match function after that final. I mean, that must have been a big job.
Again, we finished. So the cool thing about the Stoop, it's obviously right across the road from Twickenham where the final is. So we had a walk over with our fans. Then afterwards, you walk straight back to your own stadium, and the after party starts there. Well, obviously in the change room. Started there, and then we walked to the Cabbage Patch, which we spoke about earlier, our local or our supporters pub. And then we had this private room for ourselves and family and friends in there. And went into the late hours of the morning. I think we finished there 5:30 probably. So then in the early morning, I didn't sleep. I came back to Guildford, got a lift with one of the younger boys. So I'm obviously a few beers deep after the final. I have to be. And this guy stops and he's at his parents' house. I'm like, I can't go in yet now. 5-6 o'clock in the morning, still in my prayer, like my shirt's ripped, metal around me, smelling of booze. So the only house I knew at that time close to where I was Marcus Smith. So I walked to his house. They all still obviously sleeping. So I go sit in the backyard and I phone Joe. So Joe's in the car driving on his way to Guildford because we had a social after. I'm like, Joe, where are you? What happened? He's like, no, I couldn't find a taxi. So I just stayed over at the Stoop. So he climbed over the gate at the Stoop. But then in one of the well, the suit or whatever at the stoop was, they used it for a vaccination center in the COVID time, because it's COVID, right? So he got in there and he's like, this is nice. There's snacks, there's a bit of apples, there's crisps. And he got stuck into there, fell asleep. Early morning, doors open. Nurses like wakes him up and he's like, listen, lad, you need to get out of here. This is a vaccination center. What you doing here? So he broke in and then started sleeping on in the vaccination center there. So no, he was definitely leading the charge, but it was a good one. It's the one that lasted a few days. I think most of we call them the veterans, the older boys. I went to pick up the cup on the Monday from the stoop, and we went to the ship. So the ship's a famous pub here on the river. That's big owned for the Sunday sessions, but we went there on the Monday. And then Danny actually took Monday night, took the cup home and put it next to his son in bed. So when his son woke up in the morning, the Premiership cup was there next to him in bed, and he was absolutely buzzing.
That's awesome. And I just wanted to, obviously, we were chatting about like Marcus Smith and Danny Kerr and Joe Marler. They've had a very interesting international period. Like, it's been selected, being dropped. Danny Kerr is a little bit different. He was brought in. How's that conversation around the group? Obviously, you're focused on club rugby, but there's guys that are, I mean, Joe Marler has said that he's got a score to settle with the Springboks. He probably got that right in the 23 World Cup. And with Danny Kerr getting another call up and then actually staying in the mix, it must have been fun for the guys and for the group.
Yeah, no, it was amazing. I think especially for Danny, he probably should have had loads more caps than he did. I don't know, how long did he not play for him? 3-4 years. Didn't play for England, so you kind of just think if he stayed in there, how many caps he would have got. But yeah, they're such good players, but also off the pitch, the type of people they add so much to the club. So yeah, whenever someone gets picked for their national side, you're happy. And they were absolutely buzzing going to the World Cup, especially Danny, because I think after Eddie, he probably thought he was out of the mix at the age of 37 years young. He didn't think, I don't think he thought he'll have another World Cup. So to go to the World Cup and then go get to a semi-final, yeah, obviously everyone was buzzing for them. When it got to semi-finals, my allegiance changed slightly to supporting them to against them. But yeah, it's good having guys like that's experienced, that can bring that experience back and add to the team.
And someone like Marcus Smith, I mean, he's got, I mean, obviously, there's a lot of people don't know what to make of him, but you see him every day at the Quins, and you see that, I mean, that the type of rugby he plays, and I think here at RugbyBits, I mean, we are believers in Marcus Smith, but you see some of the criticism he gets and the style he plays. I mean, what's it like working with him every day? I mean, he must be a joke at practice. I mean, some of the things that he can do.
Right, he's one of the hardest. No, he's the hardest worker at Harlequins. The guy kicks every week. He goes and kicks with Johnny Wilkinson to do extras. So he has that guy in his corner, which is, I think, for 10, it's sick. We all grew up watching Johnny, and then so one, he's talented, but the work he puts in, the stuff he does, yes, but he doesn't just pitch up and produce that. He works on every small skills. He expect a lot from his teammates as well. So I think he just needs to, obviously club level and then going into international is a massive step up. I think he's shown his versatility now that he's at fullback. You have to remember, the first time ever in his life he's played fullback was in a World Cup. And he actually did all right. So I think the guy's ceiling is still, massive. He's 23 years old. So people look, because he's been on the scene, he's played 150 caps for Quins, but people forget he's 23 years old. So yes, you throw stones at him for not being the finished article. Obviously, he's not the finished article. He's 23 years old, man. So I think, I'm excited for him. I think he can grow so much still, although he's unbelievable. I think his game management is getting better. The fact that he can play fullback now, it makes him a better option for the bench in international versatility. But he's a hard worker and he's magic. There's no other way to put it. He can do so much he's saved us so many times.
You say that he can play fullback. I don't think he ever wants to play fullback again. When he can finish that game, I've never seen a human being so beat up after a rugby game in my life, and he just had a smile on his face, but his lip was like miles out.
Yeah, well, that just shows he kept smiling. His big thing is smiles on faces. He wants to play rugby with a smile on his face. And if you can keep smiling after playing Fiji looking like that, then fair fucks. Because I'll tell you what, if that was me after that game, yeah, I think I would have given myself over to a few brandies. But fair enough, he's stuck in there. That's the thing. He's not the biggest lad, but the one thing I always speak to Andre around if they talk about Marcus's defense, he's like, the thing with Marcus, he's going to throw his body in there and he's going to try. It's not just someone that shies away from the contact. He goes for it. Yes, sometimes you get a mismatch if you get bounced by two sober. Like someone weighs 80 and the other guy 120, Fijian specimen.
It's not going to end well.
It's going to happen. But no, he's unbelievable.
And having a few South African boys there, like you said, you had Volko just left now, came back to the Bulls, but with Andre, Tyron, what's that been like? Obviously, are you guys close? There's a few bras, those get together, and I'm sure they've also, you look at Tyron Green, you look at Andre says, even Volko, he had a great season, great time up there, but you can see how much their game have grown by going to England, and they were around players, and I'm sure, obviously, the bras are a lot different when you get together in England as they are in South Africa, especially with Andre, we both coming from Durban.
Yeah, I was lucky because me and Andre is like best friends from the Sharks. We used to live together there. Obviously, there was at the time no wives involved, so it was slightly different, like you say, the brides back then. Now there's wives and kids involved, slightly different. But yeah, it's awesome having some South Africans in here. The change room, they sometimes get a bit annoyed that all Afrikaans get thrown around there. Especially even Ty can speak some proper Afrikaans if he wants to get away with saying something that he doesn't want the others to understand. But yeah, I think Tyrone, it's probably a matter of time before he's on the international stage. He's been ridiculous for us the last few years, even after his injury, the way he's played. But then we still Irna Harps is here now. He's put a bit of South African grunt to the pack with a big beard, scary human being. And then we have Simon Carrot, that's also here, tight head.
Loves the gym, Simon.
Oh, yeah, Simon loves the gym, you're right. Hates the gym. He gets a fair bit of abuse for they constantly asking what was in his South African water before he came over. But no, Simon, and then Jordan Else is another one that's here, South African. So there's quite a few, which obviously makes the Bryce special.
And do you also interact with the other South African dogs and other teams? I know guys in Japan, obviously, like France, those guys get together. Or but I know England's obviously a little bit bigger, but probably a bit harder to get for all yokes to get together.
We do, probably not as much as we would like to. The problem is, well, not a problem. It's probably a benefit of playing in England. You're on the bus, you either get on the bus the night before and you play and you back the same day, or sometimes you bus the morning of the game, get there and bus back. So you don't get to stay over as often. But obviously the Prees, we've come a long way from the Sharks days. So we've stayed over there a few times, had a few good brides there. Bernard Janssen van Rensburg, that was at London Irish, Bristol now. When he was at London Irish, used to bump into him quite often. So probably would like to do it more, but on the odd occasion we get together and we share a few brandies and a bit of a Brian Biltong and then talk about what we miss in South Africa.
Yeah, absolutely. I just want to track back to Tyron Green. I was going to chat to him about him a little bit. His journey and the growth that he's done in the last few years, and you rightfully mentioned, like when he was cooking before he got injured, he was, for me, a shoe-in for a Springbok squad call-up in the very least. And then I think his injuries came at probably the worst time for him when it came to a possible call-up. But he's starting to hit that form again. What's happened with him? He's just fit in so well. I understand it's his attacking intent, but he's settled down very, very well there.
Yeah, he loves the way we play, and it suits him like a glove the way we play. But Tyron, you talk about South African in the back earlier and our mentality. He must be one of the hardest people I've ever played with. The other day, I think Kobus won't be happy me mentioning, but he caught Kobus Wiese, he had the ball, and Kobus Wiese kind of had his wrong shoulder, and Tyron bounced him. And I was like, fair fucks. Tyron Kobus weighs 125 and you weigh 73, and he he's so tough, and it's just that South African mentality, never die attitude that he has. I think that give him the edge in that regard. But yeah, Ty, the attacking nature of it as well. But Ty is so brave in the way he defends. Is probably, I think that's probably understated sometimes. And I think on international level, you'll probably see when he gets that call up, whether it's for South Africa or England, we'll see a lot more of his defensive side as well. But I can't wait, because I definitely think if it's not South Africa in the next year or two, then I know England is also interested, and they can't wait for him to get his passport. But I know his first love is South Africa, and he would love to play for the Boks. So whether that will happen or not, we don't know. But you're right, his injury just came at the wrong time, because he was in contact with the Springboks, I think, a few times, and every time that was almost like a bad luck call. Every time that phone ring, he got injured. So, yeah, I felt sorry for him, but yeah, superstar.
Even if I hope for his sake, he fucking comes back home on holiday and just be like, hey, here's a Park jersey, just come pop in. Well, we just make sure that he's in Loftus or he's in Pretoria on holiday, just in case we need someone for the Irish. But just to go back on the rugby, Steph, I mean, you've played Super Rugby, played obviously Premiership, and I mean now you've played European Cup. Obviously, your Harlequins going on to the semi-final. You're playing at Toulouse. I mean, for you, like, which competition would you say is probably the hardest you've played in? Because when you left here, I mean, we're still in the middle of proper Super Rugby. We're still playing the New Zealand sides and the Australian sides. So, if you had to choose, which competition would you say, shit, this is the toughest one?
I'm going to sound like a politician now, but I think they're all different in different ways. Now, the hardest one is Champions Cup. There's no doubt about it. To not just the physical and the skill level and all that, but I think mentally it's a tough competition, because you jump between different competition, and then to go play Bordeaux or Glasgow, Bath at home, then the next Friday night lights you play Glasgow. Was top of your sea at the time. Then you fly out to Bordeaux and you're going to play Bentamia Fuma and some of those boys out there, some of the freaks they have in their team. Then you're back to Sale, playing in your domestic competition against the Duprees and the Tuolangi, and then you're off to Toulouse again playing the Pont. So I think just the way that competition is structured makes it incredibly hard. And you play the best players in the world. I think South Africa is also... We've obviously, South Africa hasn't been successful in that yet, but I think they've added a lot to that competition. I think a lot of the fans probably saying yes, no with the traveling and all that, but I think as soon as South Africa sort out their travel, I think they'll be a force to reckon with, and they'll add a lot to that competition. But between Super Rugby and Prem, I think we all grew up watching Super Rugby. We used to love Super Rugby. So I think it's hard going against Super Rugby, because I loved it. So we grew up with it. But if you look at Super Rugby now and Prem, I'll say Prem is miles better at the minute. But yeah, I think it's slightly different in effect. I think the great thing is you don't tour for families. It's a lot better. In the winter months, it's slightly more physical. It's a slower game, where Super Rugby is obviously all about skill, and then you still play a team like the Bulls, and you have a bit of everything in there.
I mean, when you're going to Toulouse, I mean, at Toulouse, I think there's probably no harder fixture than that in probably in club rugby. And for you guys, obviously, it was a tough loss in that same year. I mean, like, how daunting is it to play there? I mean, I think we see a glimpse of it. I mean, some of the guys, like, if you're not streaming it, I mean, the only time we'll see it here on Super Sport is when Champions Cup on. So we don't see enough of Toulouse at Toulouse. But I mean, for you guys going there, I mean, how daunting is it going to that stadium? I mean, it flares. It looks wild there. It looks fucking raucous.
No, it's like almost like probably similar to a football feeling in the stadium. So the bus pulls in, and they probably stop like 70 meters from where you actually go into the change room, and then it's just fans, and you walk through this tunnel of Toulouse fans. Luckily, I don't understand French, but I could hear them abusing me. I can tell you that. And it flares and smoke, and you can just, they love, but it's hostile, proper hostile environment. But I think for Quins and for myself, I don't care which fan or where you're from or who you support, but the fact that there's fans and there's an atmosphere, I think any athlete that gets you going. As a rugby player, that gets you going. But it is hostile. But you have that choice whether you you crumble under it or you use it to your advantage to fuel you. But I think definitely there it got us going. We felt disappointed in that game. We almost felt against one of the best team we lost to ourselves. Not, it sounds arrogant saying that way. We didn't they to lose. They played well. They deserved to win. But we gave them 3 or 4 tries, literally on a platter, on an exit, small. Danny fumbles the ball, intercept, score, line out 5 meters out, go, they steal, score. And in a semi-final, that's just not good enough. You can't hand the best club team in the world 21 points on a platter and expect to win. Then nearly we came back, and then we had that yellow card just at the wrong time. I think we were 6 points behind at that stage. And definitely, when we looked at them, we were like, yeah, we're going. They were shitting themselves. Because again, there's people in our team that can do something out of nothing. And I was feeling that something's going to happen at that stage. But unfortunately, we got that yellow card, and then they capitalized on that. But to lose, yeah, lots of respect for them. It's going to be massive, Leinster, to lose.
You talk about like your culture and everything and how you attack, and that's just the way you are. And obviously, all of us fans lived through you winning the Premiership and coming back in so many games. That's exactly what was happening for us as fans when we were watching that game, because Toulouse looked like they were coasting, and then all of a sudden, Harlequins were back, and we're just sitting there going, this could be one of the greatest ever. It was good, and that's the best thing. I mean, it's the first Champions Cup semi-final that Quins have been in, and you guys really, yes, there were some errors there that cost you, but you pushed them all the way, and they were definitely struggling a bit at the end. Like, I think the doubt was in their mind, and that's probably one of the biggest things for athletes. If you can get the doubts in their mind, you can work them a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. You're spot on. I think if you create a doubt, that's one thing that team or Harlequins has built over the last few years. Teams know we're never out of it, and that's the danger. So if they think it, we believe it, and you get that one try. I think Tyrant scored a brilliant try, which he started and then finished. And then you go, and you could see people, they almost get a little bit more nervous, so they get a little bit tighter, they try a bit less. And for us, it's just all shackles off, let's go. So then, if you're 6 points behind against Toulouse there, and you feel the momentum shifting slightly, you're in with a chance. But unfortunately, I think it will be one game I'll look back in my career with what ifs, which is slightly annoying.
But I mean, for you guys, I mean, you into the Champions Cup. I mean, like you said, it's first semi-final for Harlequins, and for Harlequins in the Champions Cup. And like, what are the big takeaways from you guys? Is it motivation for next year? Like, listen, fucking hell, next year we came this close. We know how to do it. We know how to do it while also trying to compete in the Premiership. So, I mean, do you guys see it that way as well? Like, what positives are there for you guys to take away as you build on and try, obviously, be better and compete deeper in Europe?
I think Andre said it after the game. He said, listen, we just played against one of the best, if not all, the best Champions Cup team in the world, or club team in the world. If you look at the history, they have 5 stars on their jersey. And we pushed them to a point where we were disappointed in ourselves the way we lost the game. So you kind of have to take some positive out of that. Yes, we're disappointed, but if we put the patches, we played really good rugby, they couldn't live with us. But our problem as a club is, at the minute, is we can't do that we're not doing that for 80 minutes. And the game's always going to go like this. You're never going to have the 80-minute perfect rugby, but we just need more. So my takeaway is, if we as a team can string longer periods of that rugby we play when we are at our best together, then we are forced to be reckoned with going forward. But that's probably our work on, is staying in that flow for longer.
And then obviously, I mean, you signed an extension. I mean, is that showing that you're loving life? The cabbage patch treating you well, and I mean, obviously, I mean, did you think about potentially coming back home, or as London almost become home now in a sense?
No, I have 1 more year left on my contract, and then we'll make decisions after that. But South Africa will always be home. I'll definitely, whether it's coming home to play rugby, I don't know. We'll see what happens. But I'm coming home to live in South Africa when I'm done. That's a fact. My wife, I think we will struggle to survive here forever in this weather. But yeah, I don't know what the future holds. As long as the body holds out, who knows?
Just in as long as I'm sure the bars here in South Africa are missing you, are definitely missing you too. But I mean, you got you got the one bar cap. I mean, obviously in the best stadium in the country in PE. I mean, Sharky doesn't want to believe me. I keep telling her Nelson Mandela Bay Stadium is the best. I mean, I might be biased because it's home. Just go back there. I mean, for you, I mean, what is the experience like? What is it feeling like? I mean, obviously, it is probably every rugby player's goal to be a Bok. I mean, for you, that must have been a dream come true.
Yeah, it was unreal. It was probably still at the time I couldn't believe it, and probably looking back, I still can't believe it. I think playing with people I grew up idolizing, watching, and then all of a sudden you share a hotel room with Skalkberger, or you training with Victor, and you're having dinner with them. It was a little bit starstruck at the time, but yeah, it's something I'm really grateful for, having that opportunity. Probably something I look back on, with immense pride. Probably wish sometimes could have kicked on a bit more, but yeah, I'm always proud of that one cap. I got to play for South Africa, a dream I had as a boy. Probably a dream I never thought was possible, but I think every South African dream of being a Springbok. So that dream was always there, and for that dream to come true was unreal.
Is there still something in you hoping? Did you ever think maybe like how well you're playing at the Quins, maybe that another call up would come, will come in, or are you just the type, just focus on club form, just keep playing well, and then if it happens, it happens?
Yeah, I think you kind of have to have that mentality, like play well for your club, and then what happens, happens. But I think you, as a rugby player, you always have that bit of fire in you that it's possible. I think Dion Ferry showed us, all of us, it can be possible.
So are you saying,
no.
are you lighting up chasing the sun 3 there, Stephan? I mean, come on.
No, joking. No, but it is, you have to perform at your club level. I think, well, second rows, I believe we have the best in the world. So it's not like it's an easy position, you know what I mean? We definitely have the best in the world in that position. So it's a position that you have to fight for, and rightly so. I think Springbok, that jersey shouldn't come cheap and easy. So it's something you have to play really well for extended period of time to get recognition in that jersey. And while I'm playing, I'm supporting. I'm probably one of the biggest, along with yourselves, one of the biggest Springbok supporters. Crying every Sunday night watching Chasing the Sun. Just sad it's done now.
I can imagine how, I mean, obviously being there in the UK, I mean, where were you when the World Cup semi-final was played? I mean, obviously, like you said, I mean, I'm sure you want the Boks to win, but you also want Joe Marler and Danny K to have a good game, but not too good where the Boks lose. Where were you?
I didn't care if they had a good game, I'll be honest.
Beautiful. That's what we want to hear.
It was all about the Springboks. It was the business end. There was no blurred lines. But I said to Marler, actually, I think if they kept him on the pitch in that game, we were in trouble. Because before he was on, they were dominating in the scrums, and then Ox came on and obviously changed that game completely. Whether Joe would have made a difference by the time Ox came on, no one knows. But I think he's really strong. He's a good scrummager. They don't obviously scrum directly across or against each other. But I think if they had a better scrum in that game, we would have been in trouble. But so I was in a way happy for Joe that he had a good game. But yeah, I was just pissed off. That was 1 point. I got nervous, and I got a lot of chirps from the fellow English. I actually watched it at home with a few of the English boys, so it was tough watching.
It was a horrible 70 minutes as well until, how can you imagine? At least like Sharky, we had the luxury of watching around South Africans. So we were all stressing together. Like you got English jokes in your own house as well, Stephan. That's the worst part.
What was your score prediction before that game? No one was saying Boks by 1 point. We were all
15, 12.
Yeah, no, exactly. I was like, it's a semi-final, but if the Boks dominate there, it can be 10, 12, but it can also be 30. Who knows? Yeah. The way England was playing. True. Next minute, they're all looking at me. They're like, maybe 10, maybe 30. What now? I'm like, yeah. Tough.
I just think that my anxiety kicked in on the Friday. So I'm like, gee, but like no one thinks England's gonna win. And it was like the opposite of like 2019, where everyone thought England's gonna win. They were like, oh, Springboks are shit. Like, there's no Springbok player that can make England score. Whereas now it's the opposite. And I was like, okay, it'll be like maybe Boks by 7. Not the flip and stress that we had to go through in that bar.
No, I was arrogant. I was confident.
You led the charge. You're like, this is going to be a walkover semi-final.
Look, at France, I was nervous, and against New Zealand. By that one, I was like, this is my weekend off. We just beat France by 1 point. But I nearly had a heart attack. It was tough. But at least I'll have a weekend off, and then it's a final. So I'll invite the English over. It's fine. I can have a few easy beers, have a good laugh with them. They'll be sulking, and I'll be smiling. But then after the game, they were actually smiling, and I was still smiling. So I think it was a win-win at the end of the day. But
yeah, it was quite something, like, because obviously the Springboks announced on a Tuesday or a Wednesday. They announced early, and it was always like, oh, Boks are going to win. It's a no-brainer. But Kooks, you're right. Like that Friday, getting nerves. There's nerves before kickoff are quite something, and then they didn't really go away until probably the final whistle. Like, and it was quite hairy.
No, yeah. Who was it? Polly that came on. That was that the game we made subs like at 35.
Yeah, when Polly came on, I mean, a little bit like what 30 minutes, like 30 minutes in.
Yeah, but that guy also had balls of steel, I must say. And like even watching Chasing the Sun and some of the Rugby Pass interviews, and it just acts like, yeah, it's just another day at the office. I'm like, I hear you, Paulie, but I don't know, mate. No.
At least like
yeah,
the semi-final, like we had to do the stress. I remember, like you said, talking about the Bristol game. I remember it was my second last year still teaching, and we had a birthday party that day. And so obviously the game was playing, but I kept checking on the app, and you look like, oh, 28-0. I'm like, okay, cool. Oof, that's going to be. I'm like, oh, that's a walkover. You look again, you're like, okay. Like, and I remember like me and the guy coach rugby, we tried our best to get like in front of a TV, but my girlfriend at the time, and he's going like, no, like they're doing speeches now. Like, can you just put on the TV, like just for a couple of minutes? Like, there's chaos. I would rather watch that sort of semi-final than watch that Bok 1 point win. Like again, at least it's like points. Like you're gonna see tries, not just sit there and stress and hopefully and wait for the like, come on, Boks, come on, can the scrum work? Is Polo gonna kick the ball over? Like I'd rather have the Boks being down 28-0 and then sort of and then let's throw the ball around.
No, true. But I think with our backs, Springbok backs at the minute, I think it's exciting with the future of South African rugby with the new coaches there, especially in the attacking side. I can't wait to see what they come up with.
No, it's good.
Yeah, they've created it's the same as what you talk about with the Quins, where they're attacking, you always believe you're going to do it. We've got a whole batch of rugby players now that believe. We've got old guys that believe, we've got short guys that believe. We didn't have that in the past. You had like, oh, you're too short to play wing. Now our whole back three is going to be under 5 foot if we're not careful. So it's quite something. There's a lot changing, but it's creating a lot of good vibes.
Yeah, I think is it Tony Brown?
Yeah.
I almost said Tony Blair. That definitely be looking the wrong one. But no, I'm excited for him. He's a good coach, and with a bit of that New Zealand in him, I think what he can put together with the backs we have is exciting. So let's see. With those backs and with the pack we have, continue to have, and with Marasi there, the forefront, it's exciting.
Stephan, before we wrap up, if you to sum up, you look back at your career when you started, leaving the Lions to 21 and at the Sharks, did you think this is the way to pan out? Bok cap, Premiership winner. Is this, if you look back now, would you say, geez, if you told me there's a 21, I would have told you you're lying?
Right, never in my wildest dream. I never even thought I was going to be a rugby player. So Andre Esterhuizen, I was this thin, and when we rocked up at Sharks training, Andre Esterhuizen thought I was one of the kit men working at the stadium. He didn't think I was a rugby player. So to answer you, no, I didn't think so. I think partly whatever, I played Currie Cup, made my first year 2013, was still 21, played Currie Cup, we won it. I was like, oh, I'm done. I can stop playing rugby now. Then Jake White comes around. He gives me opportunity to play Super Rugby. I'm like, yeah, I've made it. Boom. Then we play in a semi-final or we beat the Crusaders away. Then I'm like, yeah, I never dreamt of this. Then you get a Springbok call up, and then you're like, this literally, I'm living my dream. So I don't think a lot of people can say that. And honestly, I'm so grateful for what the game's given me, not just on the pitch, the memories, but the friends and the connection we and you could get in a pub in London, both South African. So yeah, so much more than, yes, the achievements, but the rugby's given me so much. Yes, like you just said, playing this competition and that, but the people I've met along the way, the memories I've made, the places I've seen, fucking what a game.
And lastly, Steph, what's better, Tiger and Derbs or the Cabbage Patch?
Sure, tight call. I
Joe
think
Cools is also putting in a shot.
Oh, well, now you're giving your age away. Now I think different times in my life, it's a different answer. But 21,
like 2021 stage, yeah.
Patch. I'll be in Tiger the whole day. But now I'm on the wrong side of the 20s here in the low 30s. So the pub is probably a better call these days.
Steph, we appreciate your time. Thanks so much for joining us, and I'll make sure that I'll bring the boys with me. We keep mentioning that we need to catch a game with the Stoop, and we'll definitely have that, Brian. I promise we will come and watch some rugby. But Steph, all the best for the rest of the season, and yeah, thanks so much for your time, and we'll catch up soon.
Cheers, thanks for the chats, lads. Let me know you're in London for a beer at the Patch or a game at the Stoop.
No, definitely. And thanks so much, guys. Thanks, Sharky. Guys, make sure you like, subscribe on RugbyBits, and we'll definitely be back. Still lots of rugby to be played. I mean, because the Sharks are resting some players this weekend, so we can win a Challenge Cup next week. And but yeah, guys, make sure we'll see you next week. And cheers from everyone at RugbyBits.
Bye.
Cheers.